Hello, my name is Armand. Welcome to my milestone report number one. I'm going to go ahead and talk about my application here, and here's my timeline. You can see here the main things are the user account and authentication system, which for the most part I've been able to develop. This is the home page over here. You can see here that I'll show you some of the code here, but you can see my file structure. Here's the project. I got two important folders here. This talked already in the test folders. Most of the logic is within this app.py folder. There's a whole bunch of things I need to clean up still. I have an env file which I'll load in variables, but I have a lot of configurations that I have to move over. I have a model here that I have to move over to its own separate folder, some utility functions that I use, but I'll get into that later. You can see here that I am using Flask to create the backend. This is how you create the routes here. Flask has a render template function here. I do have a template for all the base pages here, components here, static stuff for CSS images here. Home here, you'll notice syntax within the HTML that uses syntax like this. It's to make it dynamic so that if files are moved around into something like production, the file structure and integrity is not affected. Back into the home page here, I'll go ahead and demonstrate some of the user account creation here. Here's how you register a user. I'm going to go over some of the logic here. You can see here I have an endpoint for that. Check to see if the users are already authenticated. You can see here that I am using a form here. This is to help create a user here, and it's using a library called WT Forms, which is up there. But you can see here I have some validations. Passwords need to be done as so, otherwise you get an error message. We do validate email, username, and you also notice that I am using raw SQL, no ORMs, and I'm going to go ahead and register an account like so, just to show some basic validation. You can see here we need to include a valid email, so let's go ahead and include a valid email. Username needs to be a specific length, so let's go ahead and put in username. Password needs to be a specific length, and then if it is a specific length but you don't match the criteria, you need to match the criteria. So let's go ahead and make a legitimate account here. So account's been created. One of the deliverables is email validation, which is a pain to set up. I did end up buying a domain so I can send emails. I literally got that figured out today, but it's working. You can see here I am using PHP my admin, and you can see the password that's being stored here is not the actual password, but it's encrypted. And if I go ahead and try to log in here, you'll notice that you have to verify your email address before logging in. I'm going to go ahead and validate that. You can see here we've got the verified email. It's a very base email. I am using something called resend to do that. So I am loading the variables here in the register here, and then I'm using that resend API to send this base template email. Within the register, you can see here some of the fields that you need, the hash password, the insertion into the table. I have a utility function to generate that token. And then if it doesn't work, and then it gets rolled back. But going forward, let's go ahead and log in. Some validation there. Oops. I am going to get those error messages to look a lot better as well. But here's the dashboard. I did put in a little bit of work on the dashboard. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I want some base front end to display. But you can see here the unique email, username, And something important to also note is the use of sessions, which Flask login also handles. If we go to application here, you can see cookies. You can see it expires based on sessions. So if I go ahead and go back to the home page and close a tab, go back to the home page here and log in, I don't have to log in, it's already logged in. However, if I go ahead and close this and reopen it, you'll see that I have to log in again. And here's me logging in. There's an endpoint for logging out. Well, you've been logged out successfully. Endpoints like that, it's over here. And you'll notice that it has a decorator called login required. And so this is working in tandem with Flask login, but it will ensure that the current user is logged in and authenticated, calling the actual view. So that's really important. That's also required for dashboard, of course, and going forward for anything else within the dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and show some other features here. So if I try to sign up, I'm going to use a different email, or let's try using the same one and let's see what happens. You can see the email is already registered. Please use a different email. Sorry if I'm talking fast, but I'm running out of time. If I try using the same username, why is it doing that? Okay, I accidentally I used AJ Morris instead. But if I try to use a different username, if I use that same one, you can see the username's already registered. Okay, almost panicked there. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and validate that. Verify. So email's verified. Log in again. And you can see here I have the unique values here. And so that's pretty much the user authentication. And oops. And user account creation completed. Session management. Like I mentioned, the domain was very hard to do. I never done it before, and so but now that it's done, I didn't get this part done, these two parts, but now that the email is up and running again, or working now, I can send that user. It shouldn't be too hard to implement these functionalities. I didn't get to this admin role yet, and I did work a little bit on the user dashboard, but regarding testing, I've basically only done manual testing so far, like so. Creating test cases was a little bit of a challenge for me, as the configurations for mocking was a little bit different. A lot of the tutorials that I was watching used SQL Alchemy, and their
parameter list, and
their configuration looks so much more simpler when you use SQL Alchemy, but I can't, and so I'm using raw SQL, and so I have to do some configuration like this. I do have a base for how to get my test cases going though. So you can see here I have tests. I'm so far just testing to make sure that the response codes when I hit the page is correct here. I did try to mock up some successful login. I'm trying to create the mock user data, mock the database connection, and then see if I get the correct status code, and I'm redirecting to the dashboard. But that's currently failing. But I do have it so that I can just simply run my test cases like so, and everything passes here. Right now this is a failure over here, but as you can see, so I am getting to work on the testing. I'm gonna have my unit test cases figured out. I was only able to learn so much in a short period of time. I should have spent more time in it, so I do apologize for that. But for the most part, that's pretty much the project. Thank you so much for listening. I did manage to hit the milestone. So thank you.